Every time I booked a house viewing in Seattle, I'd get excited about all the possibilities, then immediately start dreading the moment I'd have to ask about Akira. I was driving to houses that I really liked, knowing that this one question could ruin everything. And that anxiety was making house hunting miserable. But what happened when I found my ideal first home in Seattle changed everything. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that moment taught me about anticipating problems that might not even exist. I'm Lauren and I'm a British girlie living in Seattle, and this is the story of the question I spent weeks dreading that never became the problem that I thought it would be. Let me paint you a picture of the anxiety that was ruining every house hunting experience for me. I was bringing Akira, my English Staffordshire Bull Terrier, from London to Seattle to come live with me. And here's what I learned immediately. Many American housing places restrict Staffordshire Bull Terriers. The problem is they're usually referring to the American Staffy and not the English Staffy, but I knew that distinction didn't really matter to landlords anyway. There were certain things that I wanted from the new house, and that included a yard for Akira to run around in, a home for her to feel comfortable in, and enough space for me to accommodate multiple people, because I knew a lot of my friends and family back home in England would want to come visit me and check out my life on this American journey. But here's what was happening. I'd find a house online that looked perfect. I'd get genuinely excited about it. I'd book a viewing and then immediately start worrying. What if I love this place and they say no to Akira? What if I get my hopes up for nothing? I started dreading driving to viewings because I knew no matter how much I loved a home, I'd still have to ask the question, I have an English Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Would that be a problem? When I first got to Seattle and moved into my corporate housing, I had a relocation assistant helping me, and that was brilliant. But even with professional help, I was developing this awful pattern of getting excited and then immediately anxious. And then there were the Seattle First In housing rules. And while these housing rules are designed to protect tenants, they definitely created a bit of pressure for me. Under these rules, landlords must publish their criteria up front and offer the rental to the first qualified person who applies. So you see a place you like and you only have hours, maybe a day, to apply, or someone else might get it. But here's what was making things a lot worse. I'd scroll through listings, find a house that looked amazing, and get this rush of excitement. Then immediately the anxiety would kick in. What if this place is perfect, but they won't accept Akira? I started approaching every viewing with this cloud hanging over me, knowing that I would have to ask this question that could ruin everything. Fortunately, none of the houses I viewed before I found the perfect one were places where I actually wanted to live, so I never had to have that conversation. But the anxiety was still killing me. I was down to my final week in corporate housing, and honestly, I was getting emotionally exhausted from this cycle of excitement followed by this immediate anxiety. I remember I saw this absolutely massive house. It had garage space for 3 cars, a walk-in wardrobe that I actually thought was a spare bedroom, but it looked like a 1970s time capsule. So it wasn't somewhere I actually wanted to live. But it did tick a lot of the boxes. But thank goodness, because I didn't have to have that conversation about Akira. That's when it really hit me. I was letting the fear of one question ruin my excitement about house hunting entirely. I'd see a listing I loved, and instead of being excited about all the possibilities, I'd immediately start spiraling. What if they say no? What if I fall in love with this place and they reject Akira? I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. I'm making myself miserable over conversations I haven't even had yet, but I couldn't help it. Every time I drove to a viewing, there was this knot in my stomach about the question I might have to ask, if I actually liked this place. Then came the phone call that changed everything. I'm at work trying to focus on my actual job while internally stressing about my final week in corporate housing when my phone rings. It's my relocation assistant, and she sounds excited but urgent. She says, Lauren, I know this is last minute, but there's a house that just became available and it checks every box. It has a garage, a driveway, a front yard for Akira to run around in, and enough space for visitors. Plus, it has this amazing kitchen. But here's the thing, you need to go and see it within the hour. Within the hour, I'm at work. But this is Seattle housing we're talking about, and I was running out of time. I looked at my watch, I looked at my computer, I looked at the address, and saw that it was only 10 minutes from me. So I told my manager, I packed up my stuff, and literally ran out the office. I'm driving to this house that I haven't even seen online. I'm excited. My heart is racing. I was more excited than anxious that this could actually be it. I walk inside and it's literally perfect. It had a huge window in the living room, flooding the entire space with natural light. It had a perfect front yard for Akira to run around in. It wasn't too big or too small, and the kitchen had this incredible cooker. Plus, there was plenty of space for all my visitors from England. For the first time, I was genuinely excited about a place. And then, of course, that familiar anxiety kicked in. I was thinking, oh no, I actually love this place. Now I have to ask the question. So I took a deep breath and I said, I have an English Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Would that be a problem? And here's the moment that changed everything. They didn't pause. They didn't look concerned. They didn't say, let me go check. They just said, oh, that won't be a problem at all. The tenants in the other unit have a pit bull, so we're definitely dog friendly around here. That relief was incredible. After weeks of dreading this conversation, it turned out to be the easiest part of this viewing. No hesitation, no complications, just immediate acceptance. I submitted my application and I ended up signing the lease. Here's the thing that changed everything for me and what I want you to take away from this story. Sometimes the conversations we spend weeks dreading turn out to be the easiest ones we have. This house has become my actual Seattle sanctuary. Akira loves the front yard, the house, and I've been able to host a bunch of visitors from England over my time here. So I was definitely stressing over nothing. Pet parents watching, have you ever stressed about asking if your animal would be welcome somewhere, only to find out it was no big deal? Because that anxiety is so real. To anyone who's moved somewhere new, what conversations did you dread having that turned out to be much easier than expected? Because I'm convinced we do this all to ourselves sometimes. The lesson for me was to not let the fear of difficult conversations ruin the excitement of the possibilities. Yes, some conversations might be hard, but they might also be wonderfully easy. Next week, I'm sharing the story of my struggle of getting into a routine when I moved to Seattle. Like and subscribe to follow the story of my journey from London to Seattle. Join me next time for a chat from across the pond.